Wrapping up the draft, we got to talk about them Lakers.
Yeah.
And the Lakers made some moves today, right? The Lakers start off with a 55 pick, right? And you're like, I don't know who they're going to get. I'm not really thinking about that position. And then they move up to 45. They traded for the 45 pick and some cash, which is always fun to me when they just throw cash. And it's like you never hear the number, but it's like, oh, here's some cash too.
It's like, here you go, just a lot of cash. That's how I think of it.
Yeah. And then you start hearing like, oh, there's some people that they're thinking about. I know they were talking about that big center from Creighton, Kleinbacher, I think. And so but he got picked pretty early. He got picked at 34. So I think
that's the one that they thought people were going to. Yeah, he was.
It must have been a rumor that he's possibly on their list, right? So then they trade from 45 to the 36 pick, right? 36, so then you're like, oh, okay, they're actually making some moves. They have somebody they want to target. And who we draft, Eric?
My man, Thiero. So
Adou Thiero. All right, so
I do agree.
I'm not going to lie and say I've been watching his game.
No.
This whole season. No. However, I did watch some highlights today. And he is one hell of a defensive player and athletic wing, and he can jump out of the gym. Now, does he have a shot? Not really right now. I think he shot 20. What did he shoot? 25% from three on the season. So he's definitely that. If we're going to obviously, he's going to work on something. He's going to be able to hit a jumper, right? So. I like him into, he's left-handed, right?
Think so, right?
He's a left-handed. I saw him pretty much a left-handed player. And it kind of reminds me of if we're getting another kind of that defensive mold player, like kind of like Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like you're like, all right, we need those players that can play huge on defense. However, sometimes Jared Vanderbilt becomes a liability because he can't really do anything on offense. So hopefully we get a little bit more offensive punch out of Adou. But I like his potential to be a great defensive fit for the Lakers. What about you?
Yeah, I like the Lakers went for it. I mean, let's be honest. If you're just sitting back at the 55th pick, unless you're getting like a stud like LeBron James Jr. last year at 56.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
There was no LeBron James Jr.'s there, Bronnies in the draft today. I'm just kidding. I think he'll be all right. But to my point, like, I mean, I think if you're going to just sit at 55, you're just getting somebody like realistically that may not even have a shot to make the team, or may never know. So they went to 45. They thought maybe they can get something better there. And then obviously once it got to a certain point where they're like, hey, like if we get to 36, there's like 2 or 3 guys that we like, and one's going to be there because they probably did it around the time where the 33rd, 34th pick was chosen. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it sounds like they probably got their guy. Man, you know me, I like shooters. But what I kind of learned in the playoffs is if you're not going to be a shooter, you better be able to finish at the rim. That's like a Vando, for example. Like we've talked about it. He better be sitting in the corner all summer shooting them threes. Yeah. I'm kind of like now, like you got to like finish, like when you're under the basket, you know what I mean? And I think like somebody like that with his athleticism, obviously he's good around the rim. Yeah. And so I think they value that, and they know that like, hey, the shooting will come. That's not something we're going to just totally like look at when we're, drafting in the second round. So seems to be a pretty quality pick, and, we'll see what it turns out to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Cause like, as long as you can finish around the rim, that's the most important thing, especially with like a team when you have Luka and LeBron with the pick and roll where you just need to roll to the basket. I think that at times Vando struggles with that. Like, it's not like I don't want to say he's a bad finisher, but there's times where I'm like, dude,
not very good.
Up and like a lob threat. Like he's not so much a lob threat, right? So it's if we can get more of that athleticism at the rim, I think that's super a potential out of this pick right now. And then also just playing hard on defense and be able to get 10, 15 minutes a game where you're just playing hard, right? Who knows how much he would play like during the season. However, if we see that effort on defense and our team is lacking that especially with some of our lineups when we have Luka, Austin Reeves, and kind of LeBron, because of, Luka and Austin not being the greatest defenders and LeBron just being at the age he is. We're going to need somebody in that mold, like a Dorian Finney-Smith, which we have, which is great, but somebody else that can do that as well.
Oh yeah, he's like, as a rookie, we don't anticipate a lot of minutes. I mean, we saw what happened with Connect last year. But if he's going to defend, he will find minutes on the floor. I think that was the issue a little bit with Dalton last year, where his shooting, scoring we felt that maybe that it make up for some of the defensive lapses, and I'm sure that's something he's working on. But like I said, if he comes in and he's talking about Adou, if he comes in and he's like a relentless on defense, he will find some time. I'll tell you that much.
That's for sure. I like Trey to go out there saying Herb Jones potential. Yes.
Ooh,
if you can find a mold like that where you got a defensive mindset, but you can also get the bucket and get some threes, I mean, that's an ideal player for the Lakers.
I like it.
I also want to give
me Herb Jones anyways too.
Yeah. Herb Jones would be an amazing addition on this team. But I wanted to get into their two-way players that they signed after the draft, and they signed Eric Dixon, who's the leading scorer in the nation last year. Stuff like that always surprises me because I'm like, how can you just not get drafted when you led the nation in scoring in college? Like, I don't care if whatever his numbers didn't jump off at the combine, whatever it is, but like you led the league, the whole college, like you had Cooper Flagg in this, you had Dylan Harper, and you led the league in scoring, like the whole.
Did you see how old he is?
Whole nation. I think he's 23, right?
24.
24.
Yeah. I just looked at it. Hold on. Hey, when was his birthday? Tell me he's about to be 25. No, January. So next year he'll be 25.
Okay. So he probably has some.
That's a good thing. He's still young.
Probably the COVID years and all that stuff, right? Transfer stuff.
Funny. But hey, we'll take it if he's a vet and a scorer. Hell yeah.
But if I'm getting a two-way player that's more mature like that, I would much rather have that, because that's kind of essentially that was Austin Reeves, right? Well, Austin Reeves was about 23 when he first with the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're getting a mature player that knows how to score, I mean, he's 6'8", power forward, and can shoot. I mean, he shot 40% from three, and he's and again another lefty, right? So Lakers gonna have some lefties on this team. But yeah, what do you think of his potential and kind of the fit on this team?
Hey, look, like it's a win-win. I think I could imagine he probably would have been, speaking about agents, I'm sure he probably would have been picked if they weren't meddling, right? They probably said, hey, we want to just be able to go to where we want to go at this point, right? Unless you're going to be a higher or maybe a higher second round pick. So I imagine something like that happened. It's better to have your choice of where to go than just to get stuck on, like, say if Charlotte would have picked him up or something. Yeah. So, it's no risk at all opportunity. We got a vet, right, as we talked about, and someone that's going to be a little bit older, wiser. He's going to want to get to the league as quick as possible. He's a two-way player, right? So he'll be able to develop, and he's a scorer, and you can't ever underestimate that. And so it'll be just interesting to see. Like it's this new age of the NBA. Player development is so huger than ever. So maybe this will be a guy down the line where, like, oh man, that was the guy that was not picked, and we picked him up, draft night after the draft was over, and let's see what he can do.
Yeah, a couple of things stick out to me with him. He played 5 years in college, right? 5 years at Villanova. Did not transfer. Like, I mean, in this day and age, with the amount of like people that are transferring to get a better opportunity or get their name out there, like literally the dude just consistently improved. He went from 3 points, 9 points, 15, 16, 23. And consistently, he was just a really good 3-point shooter. I mean, shot 38% as a career. So I think flat out he can score and flat out he can shoot. So I'm excited to see, especially at like that 6'8" position. Like I thought he was like when they said he was a scorer and
I figure he's undersized or something.
I thought he was like maybe like 6'5", 6'6", but 6'8" and pretty solid build is pretty impressive. So he might fit that role where you can put him at the 4, or you can almost put him at an undersized 5 in this league, and have him with the pick and pop with like Luka and LeBron, which I think could be pretty amazing as long as when he kind of gets his chance in this on the Lakers squad.
Yeah, he's kind of looking at him. He's like, so he's third team All-American too. So that's pretty impressive. And he's kind of built too, kind of like a Rodney Rogers lefty kind of build.
Ooh, Rodney Rogers. That was he's 265. I mean, he's a solid dude.
Was he lefty too? I thought
Rodney Rogers is a lefty. Yeah. He was probably about the same size, to be honest with you, or maybe a little bit shorter, but he's about 6'6", 6'7".
He's still with us, right, Rodney Rogers? Oh no, but he's
he passed.
No, he's just paralyzed. That's right. Okay,
that's right. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I think there's some potential in him, and I'm excited. Lakers kind of got a gem right there.
Yeah. Oh man, but and then they got the other
RJ Davis from North Carolina, which again, he's another player that veteran type of player, been around playing in college for a while. Let's see, did he play all his years? Yeah, again, 5 seasons at UNC. Right? I mean, like literally, he averaged 21 the year before, 17 this year. So you're getting a player that, again, shot well from the 3. He's probably didn't get drafted as much because he's a little undersized. He's 6 foot. But, as far as that position as a point guard, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think drafting some of these signing some of these players that are, from those blue blood schools, I think it's I think there's a upside to that as well, especially if they all the years that they played in those 2 programs, and
sure.
They're 2 great programs regardless of the years they have. So that's an upside too. And so now they're going to the Lakers, which is another blue blood, so to speak, in the NBA. So the bright lights and things like that really shouldn't affect them because they saw it all those years in college.
Yeah, definitely. So Laker fans, we are getting some veteran college players on the 2-way. Eric Dixon and RJ Davis both played 5 years for the same team, which to me is as impressive as you get because you know what you're getting out of a player like that. So I'm excited to see them make an impact on this team. Now, June 30th, NBA free agency. What are the Lakers doing? We know what they need, but how aggressive are they going to be, and what do you think is going to actually happen?
Man, yeah, it's coming up, so it'll be very interesting to see. Don't have like a ton of flexibility. I mean, obviously we got to see what LeBron does. Regardless, though, I don't think it's going to create that much more space or anything like that, whether if he opts in or out and whatnot. But they do have the mid-level exception, which is definitely of value. So I'll let you think of some names, but definitely we know a big has got to be on the radar, some more athleticism on the outside. And there's definitely a couple guys out there, right, that you've mentioned that you're kind of looking at, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
A couple free agents in Minnesota to name a couple.
Yes. I mean, obviously one of the bigger free agents and kind of been talked about for Lakers is like having like a Naz Reid. I just don't know if we're going to have the money to get a Naz Reid. Like, I think it would have to be maybe either a sign and trade type of deal or potentially like him signing for the mid-level. But I don't think he's I think he's going to get more than that on the market. Yeah. So I think that's realistic. It might be a lot harder. But I like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think if we can get him for a decent contract, he would be a really good defensive guard and also just scorer off the bench. And then for me, the Lakers obviously need to get a center. I don't think necessarily that center's on the free agency market. I think that is going to be by trade pretty much. If they want a starting caliber center, they're going to have to trade. I don't think there is. I mean, don't give me Clint Capella and say we've done our job. This is not 2017, 18.
I've been hearing about him for years.
Is since Houston is
right here.
So like, yes, as a backup, Clint Capella, fine.
Sure.
But we need a starting center. There's a couple guys out there, obviously, that have been mentioned already, like Nick Claxton. I think athletic, young, a bigger guy that can kind of roll to the rim and do what you need on defense. And then there's DeAndre Ayton. So there's that, like, realistic. Can we get DeAndre Ayton, and he's going into his last year of a contract, so at least it'd be kind of washed next year. Whether or not he was good, he fits the mold for the Lakers, and then you can kind of keep him, or you just kind of have him for the year and see how that fits. What are your thoughts on any of those two players?
I like both options. The bigger splash, I guess, would be Ayton, obviously former number one pick, had some good years in Phoenix, definitely fizzled there towards the end, and I haven't heard much about him in Portland other than like him being a little bit disgruntled. So that would be the worry, obviously, getting somebody like that. You got to believe a LeBron and Luka and Lakers organization, especially a contract year. We may get if it happens, the best, Ayton possible. And that might be just one of those things, like we just have him for the year with maybe just kind of letting him walk, because it's either he's going to not do well or he's going to be really good and probably, demand a certain amount of money. So I see that as a good option. And then, Claxton wouldn't be a big splash, but I think he's been someone that's been rumored since last year during the season. And then you obviously what's his name from Utah, Kessler. We've been hearing that for a while. Clint Capella, we've been hearing about for about 7-8 years now. And so we're, like you said, we're not in 2017 Houston Rocket, Clint Capella. So I'm sure a serviceable backup, I'll take it. But for me, the prize would be Alexander Walker, just to get that like perimeter defender length, good scorer. I think he would be an amazing addition. We'll just see if it's possible. But that's awesome if we can get him.
Would he be a better fit than Gary Trent Jr. in your eyes?
I think
potentially what he can bring both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I think Gary Trent would be a nice consolation, prize. He's a nice player. But yeah, I think he's obviously just a little bit younger, Alexander Walker, and could do more. I mean, at least from what I've seen on the defensive end, I think that's like what really stands out. But he's going to cost more, and that's why he's going to cost more than Gary Trent at this point. So
sure,
because I think last year he got like the veterans minimum last year. So not too sure what he'll command this season.
Yeah.
So talking about Gary Trent, but so it's coming soon, right? The 30th. Ooh, I hope they do something, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, there's one name I kind of was hearing today, and then also one of our YouTube comments right now says Jared Allen would be nice. Now, yes, Jared Allen would be an amazing addition. I think he makes about $30 million a year, so obviously you're going to have to send out some salaries, which I don't think it would be that bad. It's just a matter of like how much talent they would want for him or what type of picks they would want in exchange. I don't think Austin Reeves would necessarily have to be in any trade like that because, and talent-wise, I don't think you're giving up Austin Reeves for Jared Allen or anything like that. Yeah. But he would fit everything and solve everything the Lakers need, to be honest with you, right? A defensive presence and then a rim runner. He finishes really well around the rim as well. So he would be like the ideal player for the Lakers. I just don't know if we have enough to kind of get done a deal. I mean, like if you think about like maybe like a Rui and like a Dalton Connect, right? Rui, Dalton Connect, and maybe some other guy. Capital. Yeah, some draft capital, I think could get it done. Right, I don't think that's that bad. Like, because if they're filling in their team, they're like, all right, we got Evan Mobley at center. He's a defensive player of the year, which is fine, right? And they can get a little bit more athletic and more smaller and put Rui at that 4. And then you can have Dalton Connect off the bench and then probably some draft picks and things like that. So I don't think it's necessarily like a terrible idea for either squad. But if I had to pick anybody, that would be the guy that I would want on the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wouldn't be a haul like, for Evan Mobley or something like that. That'd be a different story. And I don't know if Allen's on the trading block or not, but I would imagine Cleveland does want to tweak their team a bit. Again, we've talked about how the Eastern Conference is so wide open next year, and teams are definitely going to go for it. And so Jared Allen, yeah, that'd be a super ideal fit for the Lakers. And it may not take the world, but Rui and Connect, are probably would be all over that deal, and maybe some draft capital there, and it could. That's something to think about. I just don't know if Jared Allen is on the trading block.
Yeah, no, that's number one, and he's 27 years old, man. So like if you're looking at fit wise, age wise, he fits everything the Lakers would need. I was just trying to think of what else they would need to give up to kind of get him. And it'd be some combo of that Rui, Dalton Connect. Because that's the other thing.
Those two are going to be in any trade.
Do you think Dalton Connect is coming back on the Lakers? Like after everything that happened? Because you see how quickly Charlotte traded Mark Williams. It was like, all right, yeah, we're done. We're trading them. We meant to trade you before. And what happened with Dalton when he came back and he never played again, and JJ kind of was, he's almost in his doghouse. I don't know if I see him on the Lakers next year.
Yeah, I think once he got traded and it got rescinded, I think it was just like a matter of time. If he makes it to the season, I'm like, okay, maybe he's actually going to stay because it's like, and they're going to, kind of see what he's got. But I would say chances are he's like by the time training camp comes, he's playing for another team, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So we will know